Good morning everybody and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Districts, and my name's Susanna and I live with trains, and today's theme is Susanna Goes Large, and it definitely is going to be a very large update today. It might be very lengthy, but hopefully when you watch it you'll understand and hopefully it will go quite quickly. Now today's video was based on my previous video, in which case I was talking about doing some minor track alteration to the front of the layout, just to smoothen it out like I'd smoothed out the back of the layout. And a video cropped up on YouTube, and basically just the plans I had went straight out the window, and it completely changed the whole dynamic of what was happening at the front. And the reason why that happened was that when I originally did the front with the Freightliner and the carriage sidings, I kind of felt it was a bit, I liked both and I wanted both and I wanted my cake and eat it, but it just seemed a bit kind of like shoved together. And then this video cropped up and it basically changed the whole thinking of what was going on at the front. So not only did I end up changing the track configuration, so you're going to see it's going to be quite radical, but it not only affected the front, but it also affected the back. But we'll get onto all of that as we get into the video. So like I said, there's lots of new stuff to show you, lots of new scenery to show you, and I'm going to talk you through some images as well, and then hopefully it will all make sense. Now, these images I've taken through different periods, so it might not necessarily make sense, but hopefully I'll straighten it out and get it to make sense. So let's crack on and get on with the video and enjoy. So we're here at the front of the layout, and the first thing I have to do is apologise, because I was going to go and show you, and I hope to have some images of this part before I'd actually redid it all, and it turns out that I'd already started it, so I thought, well, I might as well just show you it as it is and talk you through it. Now, the first thing I have to say is a massive thank you to my friend Rails, Dave, who came over a few weeks ago, and I think I might have mentioned it on my last video, and he came over to help me run some trains. And through that, we managed to find one or two kinks that could do with being ironed out. So like I said, originally it was supposed to be just a track configuration change, and it turned out to be, as you can see, a much bigger job than what it actually was supposed to be. Now, essentially, this building here is, and the track work sort of here is essentially still the same. Forgive any mess that you might see in the background. So that's essentially still the same. But this building was over there, and that building is a new building that's under construction. But before we go anywhere near that, let's just talk about the track configuration that I was doing. Now, originally, this inner loop was fed by this left-hand curve point, but it was on the inside, and it was just sewed, and that platform 3 was fed into there like that. And then the curve went into that one, and it was just too tight. So, and there was also a bit of a dog leg in it as well. It kind of went out and then it came back in, and then it straightened out to go into the platform. So one of the things I wanted to do is to kind of straighten this out and smooth this out. And as you can see, I've done that. Now, my original intention with the track configuration was actually to put a curve, have this curve point sort of further up and another one directly behind it. So the first one would go into platform 3, and then the second one would go at a slightly shallower angle into platform 4. But the track geometry just really didn't lend itself to that. So this is how we've ended up having it. And we've ended up having it as one straight swoop all the way around, which is great because that means I'm not having any issues with trains sort of derailing on this curved point that was over here. But it just meant that the second point that I was supposed to have here has now been moved all the way back to here. And then the idea was to get rid of the freeway point that was here, which we've now done. So that's now been smoothed out and it runs lovely. But like I said, this point here wasn't really supposed to be here. That was supposed to be a left-hand curve point further down. But like I said, the track geometry didn't really lend itself to that. And also because of the various points that I had left over through the new build, that it just meant that I could just use the points that I had rather than spend any more money on another point. Now, the other thing I might do, just going back to this corner here, is I might very well, and more than likely, but I'm not sure yet, possibly put a curve point to connect to this one. So this isn't actually a terminating platform, it's just a through platform, but like the stopper trains can use platform 4 just to hold up whilst the other trains go through the through lines in the middle. So let's talk about the middle because this has had a major radical change. Forgive me for the shadows. I'm also doing this freehand as well. So what happened here then? Well, like I said, originally I had the carriage sidings here and I was quite happy with that. But I also felt like it's a bit too crammed. So when this video cropped up, and this was a video on the Freightliner Leeds depot, it was a drone footage, Midland Road. And another video was also put up recently by a chap called Don Coffey, who I follow, and he does cab ride videos. And he recently did a trip, I can't remember where it was from, but basically it ended at Leeds Freightliner terminal. So between the two, I got so much information, and with the drone view that I got, it just gave me so much inspiration. And I'm not saying that this is an exact copy because it isn't. But what it is inspiration to this bit to make it bigger and give me the energy to give me sort of what I want. And this is what I want. So what I've done with the track work is obviously I've ballasted it, and I've put static grass and everything like that. And the entrance has now been moved over here. There is going to be some train tech working level crossing here, but I'm not going to put it on just yet deliberately because in case I'm still needing to work at the back, so I don't really want to lean over and damage it at all. So this is going to be the entrance. Like I said, forgive me for the shadows. I've done all the road markings. The porter cabin is based on one at Leeds. And I'm going to throw some images in as we talk through, just so you can see what we've got going on. You've got the cars, the road markings, and my Biffa lorry, my Biffa dust cart. And there's a surprise for you for those who like that. Apparently, when I was saw Paul at my local model shop, he told me that these Biffa dust carts have sold out. So this bit has all sort of remained the same, but this bit was where that single engine shed at the back there was. It used to live here. But what I did is I got some more foam board and infilled it, and then filled it, and then painted it, and essentially just have it as it is now. The security fencing is old, reused security fencing. I haven't finished. This isn't finished by any stretch, I should say. This is still a work in progress because there's still more bits to come, still more bits to add. And the track work is essentially the same. The only bit of the track work that changes is actually these three here, because of the way it goes into this new section here, because this is where the carriage shed was. But now it's like the Freightliner sort of loco works. Now, as you can see, this particular new shed that's currently under construction is lower than the one next to it, and the reason why it's lower is because the one behind it can actually raise the locos off the jacks and remove the bogies, whereas this one can't. So this is like for light maintenance and shed, just stabling point. So that's kind of what I'm doing. The hard standing isn't quite finished yet, because I think this still needs more work in terms of thinking about how to get across and the logistics of moving materials across from one side to the other. I think it needs more hard standing, so I haven't really quite finished that either. But this is was sort of my nuclear flask sort of crane, which is also can be used as an engine hoist and stuff like that. As you come around the back, we've got a fueling point back there, and this fueling point is, well, I'll lift it up for you because it's not actually glued in. It's just, you can see this is actually made from odds and ends. And also I managed to get this bottom piece from eBay as a scrap from the Hornby TMD that was broken up. I think it's a maintenance shed or whatever, fueling area. And it's one that's been in their range for years, and basically you had the base and these pumps and some barrels left. So I decided to buy that, and then the roof I decided to make out of odds and ends from my Fowler footbridge kit. So these were like spares from what was left over. And then basically I cut a hole into the foam board and then planted it in there. So that's going to be the fueling area. These sort of containers, I've got a couple of them knocking about. They're just essentially just showing possibly where I'm going to leave them. I might not use them. It was just because I know that they have containers at the depots where maybe they store parts or they store, like I said, materials of some description. So that's why I was thinking of putting that there. I've repositioned and rewired the lighting along here so they're more in more appropriate places. These barrels came with the Hornby sort of fueling point, so I managed to reuse those. And then you've got the cherry picker parked up at the back. You've got this canteen sort of area, mess room area at the back here for the people working at the back. And then you've got the, like I said, that two road engine shed that's currently under construction. Currently that's just made out of one piece of card. It's just basically a fold kit and that I've made. So it's just one piece of card, and then you just scored the ends and folded it over on itself and come up with that. So that's what we've got. So I've still got all the fencing to go all the way around here. And I think it looks really great. And like I said, this whole area, the actual track work along here is exactly the same. It's just this side is just slightly different to work for the added operation. Like I said, because I can put a tanker in here, just one tanker, and then and basically the tanks are like under storage, so it's drawn up, so that way I don't have to put the fuel tanks on this area because I haven't got the space for it. I'd like to do more, but I am going to show you some pictures, but I did put them up on Facebook for those who had Facebook. So hello and welcome back to my sofa, and now we're going to be talking about new stuff that's arrived. Now there is some more stuff on its way to me, but I'm not quite sure when it's going to get here because it was only just ordered, so that should be here within the next week or so. But there's plenty to pique the interest right now. Now, the first thing to show you is that I've got 4 sheets of plastic card. These are the same plastic card as which the other 2 buildings on the layout at the front of the layout, which I just showed you, were made from. So that 2 road engine shed which I showed you that was under construction is going to be clad into this plastic card and painted and look exactly the same as the other 2 that are at the front at the moment, so they will be kept in keeping with one another as part of the Freightliner depot. Next to show you is something that I wasn't quite aware of actually. I wanted to get a new decoder, a 21-pin decoder. This is AE model decoder, 21-pin, and as you can see, the decoder's not in it. Now, apparently this AE model is supposed to be the budget decoders for DCC Concepts. I wasn't aware of this. I didn't know, to be honest. So if you don't want to buy their proper Zen Black ones and some of their more expensive ones, you can get this cheaper one. This is AE Models. This is their basically DCC Concepts budget range. I paid $18.95 for this 21-pin decoder. And why would I want to buy one for this 21-pin decoder? Well, because we have a new arrival. That's why. This is a second-hand unit. It's come from eBay, and it's something that I wanted for the Heritage line. And what it was is that we have this on the Watercress line, and it is. Let me give you the product code. It's 32034, and it's a Class 20. It is 8164 BR green with the headco box, and that's it. And that is it. So it's not a new model by any stretch. It's been around for a while, but I managed to pick this up off of eBay because I wanted one specifically with a headco box. As it turns out, we have two here. One with headco box, and the other one's got discs. So I managed to find this one on eBay. It's really, really nice. So I've got the decoder for it. I planted it into it last night, and I tested it, and it ran lovely. So I never used those AE decoders before, model decoders, but I'm happy with it. He did ask me which decoder I wanted, but I just basically turned around and said to him, I don't want to touch any Gauge Master ones because I've had nothing but issues with Gauge Master decoders. So I'd rather not have any of those. So I never tried these AE model ones, and it worked absolutely lovely. So, and she runs nice. And this is it with the headco box, half yellow ends. Lovely. So she'll go with my other 20. And what I'm planning on doing is, like I think I mentioned this before, I was going to get a green body for that one as well, and run these two as a pair. So I'm really pleased with that. And then let me just pop that back. Next came something a little more pricey. Well, not as pricey as the Loco, but it's still quite a pricey a piece of rolling stock. It's probably one of my priciest rolling stock that I've paid. It's by Revolution Trains. Never owned anything by Revolution Trains. This is my first sort of foray into Revolution Trains. I have to say, when it arrived, I was pretty impressed with the packaging and pretty impressed with the box. It's very smart. It's got some details on the back as to why they would have used them, and also the differences between the VTG ones and the Freightliner ones. However, that being said, there was a bit of a disappointment waiting in store for me when I opened this, and I'll explain that to you in just a jiffy. So this was not cheap, and this is just for one, let alone if I was to buy a rake of these. It is a beautiful model, and here it is. It's just the one tank wagon, TEA tank wagon. Well, that's all I wanted. That's basically going to be to take this tank wagon into the depot, get it offloaded, and then send it back. So, and it's, like I said, it's an absolutely stunning model. It really is. But there was a bit of a surprise for me when I opened it. Essentially, one of the axles had fallen out. Considering this is brand new, it wasn't attached. It fell out. And the bearings, they've got metal bearings on them, and again, they weren't really secured in place because they fell out as well. So, you know, so I left them off and I put the axle back on because the actual bearings were a pain in the arse. Sorry, what a pain. Sorry, my apologies for that. But it was, I mean, I'm not quite sure how the design worked. I don't know, because they weren't secured in the bogie. And when you've got a tiny little bearing that you've got to then try and thread back into the bogie, it was just, I just thought, no, I'll just leave it off. I've kept them separately in a bag, and I thought, you know what, I'll run it without it. If there's any issues with it, then I'll try and glue them in or something. But to be honest with you, I ran it and it was fine, and I just thought, I'm just gonna leave it off. It's just one of those annoyances. And the thing is, this is like my most expensive tank wagon. I mean, this thing cost 76 quid, and there's people asking for hundreds of pounds for these. So I'm talking about it and you can't even really see it. And it's really, really beautiful. But you think to yourself, you've paid all that money for something, and yet it's not even fitted properly or made properly. So like I said, one of the axles, like this one, fell out, and there's like two bearings, one here and one at the top. And they just fell out, as well as the bogie. And it's like, and the bearings are so small. But thankfully nothing else was broken, so or damaged, so it was fine. And it is absolutely gorgeous, it really is. But it is a lot of money. I mean, especially if you want to get a rake of these together. I was quite lucky to get this I take it, the price I paid for it was probably about the going rate. But it is beautiful. And it has been run, and so I've tested it, it's fine. So, yeah, I was just a bit disappointed that it wasn't, considering how much money. I mean, I bought the Hornby ones ages ago for about £26, and I had absolutely no issues with those at all. And some might say they're a bit clunky, they're not well detailed, but at least they ran really well, and the wheels didn't fall off, so. But like I said, that is the Revolution Trains TEAP wagon. And for those of you who are interested in the product code, it is 00TEA 41142, and it says Freightliner green, and in the code it then says 871002, and I'll put that there in case anyone is interested in pausing that and having a look to see what that is all about. Now comes to the exciting bit. I got a message from Paul today to tell me that a certain item had arrived. So for those of you who may not be aware, and who may have missed out on the Biffa dust cart, you can now also get a Viola dust cart. And that looks absolutely super. It looks just as fabulous as the red one. But the red one stands out more because it's red and it's more vibrant. Now, the reason why I've got this one as well is because this one will end up going at the back of the layout when I come to do the village scene and then upgrade that. So, but I'm going to show you this. So for those of you, and if you want to get one, hold them quick, because apparently they go really, really quickly. I had to just literally speak to Paul about this and see if he could get me one. And this one is on I believe it's on a 68 plate, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Honestly, let's just give you a little tour of it. Viola comes around here to empty out our bins. That just looks so smart, doesn't it? I think a lot of people were waiting on these things because nothing's been around. I mean, like I said in the previous video, you couldn't buy any dust carts of any description unless you sort of 3D printed your own or something like that, because they just weren't available of any description. And now we've got the Biffa one, and we've also got this Viola one, which is fabulous. I'm really pleased. So this will go onto the back of the layout once I do the the village. That's it. And that's where we're going to be going right now. We're going to be heading to the back of the layout now so I can show you what I did with the carriage sidings. So here we are at the back end of the layout. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this little bit first is because what I wanted to show you is this Digitrax command unit has been moved to over here. It was over there, and you can see that I've put a blanking plate there, and I've now moved it over here. What this allows me to do is to gain access all the way around the layout, which I couldn't quite reach before when it was over there. You know, I had good access to the left at St Anne's, and I had good access to the back and over here. But when it comes to being right over here in this corner where the quarry was, I just couldn't get any length there. So what I've now done is, by moving the UP, well, actually this isn't a UP5, but this is another LocoNet port. By moving it over here, it's now giving me full access all the way around this back end of the layout. So that's why I've now moved it over here. So we're now freehand once again. You know, like I said before, so just so you can get your bearings, you've got the reverse loop round here. And then we had the quarry over here. But I was never very happy with the quarry being here because it was always a bit awkward trying to get around here, especially around here. So what I've done is I've got rid of the quarry and now put the TMD, or the carriage sidings, along here. Now, my apologies once again for the shadows. But if I just sort of take you along here, this edge. Now, obviously, for those of you who don't quite remember, there used to be sort of like a lip over here for the front loaders to then load the trains. And it used to be just 2. Now, as you can see, the ballast is slightly lighter on the back, and that's because that line there was never touched. So from there onwards to the wall, that hasn't actually been touched. It's just from this part forward that's all been lifted and redone again. And it's now come all the way over here. I'm going to see if I can remove the shadows a bit, so bear with me a second. Because I've also got some lighting units. As you can see, I've just switched on the carriage shed. And then if I just switch the main lights on there, so you can now see I've got strip lighting that goes on under here, which I'd already did before, but what I've done is I've now wired the switches over in the corner here. So if you just look down into the corner, you see there's some switches there. And this is the carriage shed. Now this carriage shed was, like I said, I'd always had issues with it because of the fact that I made it out of foam board. This end here at the back is really warped on the edge. So I've put it right up against the wall, and that gives the appearance that the shed actually goes further back than what it does. And as you can also see, I've also had to cut into the hillside here to get it to fit. Now I haven't finished working on it, so it will be blended in better, but for now it works really, really great. I really like it here. It seems to fit much better here. And as you can see, it's all nicely lit up in there. And there's plenty of space here for my Southwest train stock. As you can also see, there are some painted track sleepers here. And essentially what it is to give me a guide to how much I've got to go lengthwise, because there's no buffers over there. There's nothing over there at the end. It's literally straight end. So these orange track sleepers are to tell me that's for the 3-car units. So once you've gone past those, you know that you've already gone far enough, and they extend all the way across to those 4 sidings, as do the yellow ones here, which are for the 4-car units. So I know when to stop the train, so those are my markers there. And then we also have these red ones here to tell me that they're terminating terminating tracks. So that's what the red's for. That's like a signal as in danger. And then also it also tells me the fouling points also, so not to cross this point, these points, because if I do, it may interfere with the track adjacent, either this one or the one next to it. So these are the sort of like markers that I have here just to help me. And also if somebody's operating at the back here, that they know where to stop the trains. So essentially between that 158, which is my longest line, and it's got the 450 behind it, that's about 6 foot. And then the rest of it is more or less 5.5 feet. So it's about 5 cars. So as you can see, this is my MPV, and it's got my MPV in it, plus my 3-car 159 behind it. So that's literally like just over 5 foot. So you've got still plenty of room there. And then I've got these ground signals here. And I've also got some wiring here. I was having issues with some of the points, so I decided to hardwire them in. But I didn't mind leaving them in because it just adds a bit of interest as well. But it does work a lot better. Now what I am going to do is this 73 that's here, I'm going to take this out, and I might actually drop this, take the jigsaw and drop this down as well to level it up with this. And then that way I can get rid of this and make it easier for the 73, which is more than likely what I will do at some point. But you can now see just how much nicer it is along here. And it does suit it better. I mean, I think it's kind of narrower to what I had at the front, but it's definitely longer and it's straighter than what I had at the front. So it definitely all fits better. So this is like my new sort of carriage siding area. The quarry I was never really using because it was always a bit awkward around here and back, and my passenger trains I tend to use quite a bit, so this side will always get used. So it's all been tested, all been ballasted, all done, and all sort of pretty much finished. So just before we go, I forgot to mention that a little while ago I bought a Train Tech emergency vehicle light, and I've now installed it into this Range Rover, and it works lovely. And it's very simple to do and easy to fit, and it's worked out really, really well. You can either have it with the blue light or the red and blue light, and it's all ready to be plugged in. Road space is a bit of a premium around here at the moment, so once I get to do the village scene or do the heritage scene, I'm going to have some more road space, which I'm going to do a cameo with this police car. Something I've always wanted to do, and it adds another little bit more animation to the layout, as well as the Train Tech level crossings, which I'm also planning on getting. So until the next time, my name's Susanna and I live with trains. Goodbye and take care. Bye bye.